Good morning. I'm so happy to be here. This is the first, it's morning in Tel Aviv. We take it easily. And we want to have this little panel like in a saloon at home. So I'd like, first of all, to invite my colleagues to the stage. And I'll just go from the way you're sitting. Glenn Yago, you're first. Please. I will tell you some words about Glenn Yago. Glenn Yago is the Senior Director of the Milken Institute Israel Center, examining the power of capital markets to solve urgent social and economic challenges and improve lives. Welcome. I would like to welcome Frans van der Avert. He's been the CEO of Amsterdam Marketing since January 2013, a network that consists of decision makers from the top of the business community, local government, and other promotional organizations. I must tell you a word about him. When I met him first April, half a year ago, I said, somebody is got to be genius. The way he just actually wrapped the whole of Amsterdam under one red type. You will tell everybody something about it later. Even the Van Gogh Museum is wrapped by this. Something special. Okay, I would like to call to the stage Shahar, Waiser, the founder of GetTaxi. He works too hard, but I hope at least the taxi got you here. In Tel Aviv, thanks to you, our lives really is better, but we're going to talk about it. And you know it, I'm not flattering you. This is how we get around, okay? I'd like to invite Oren Heiferman, the founder of startup Genome, which, listen to this, in 2012 ranked Tel Aviv at the second most developed startup ecosystem in the world, after the first, of course, San Francisco. And now I understand, if you live in San Francisco, this one is the first. And Scott Heiferman is the founded Meetup. Listen to this, guys. In 2001, with over 10 million registers all over the world, with 1 million meetups organized, right? Am I right? 1 million or 10 million? 10 million. In the beginning, my mistake was 10 million meetups all around. And when we're talking meetups, not only digital meetups, we're talking any meetups, moms meetups, cancer meetups, whatever. Well, but I won't take his talk. He'll talk about it later. Thank you, Tal, so much for introducing me. I would like to say a few more words about Tel Aviv. And, sorry, I left a place for Lukas because I thought he should come a little bit later because he comes from inside. Lukas, please. Kubina Lukas from DLD. Can I call you my co-friend? We work together on things just the same. We initiate the City Summit, and Lukas is the curator of the DLD Cities Summit, which goes in London and in Rio de Janeiro and other places. But he will talk about it a little bit later. Anyhow, these are our panelists. We have a whole full hour, and we would like to start with a general question about innovative cities. How does each one of you look at innovative cities at all? It doesn't mean that you guys deal with it. I mean, Shahar, you're probably looking at me and you say, it's morning, what do you want from me? Innovative cities. I need the taxis to be on the road. But you do, because all of you guys are dealing every day with cities that they are the hubs for everything that happens. I think this is the question that we have to ask ourselves. How to bring the creative class, how to bring these 3 T's that we know, the talent, the technology, the tolerance, that pushes people to come and to live in these cities, and how do we see it, each one from your perspective. I will start, I think, from Lukas. How do you see it?
Thanks, Hila. So I believe we are sitting right now in one of the best manifestations of an innovative city, even though it's just contemporary, but conferences like the DLDTelAviv Festival, or the conference you hosted yesterday, or the DLD cities in London or wherever, is bringing together people from all sorts of disciplines. The 3 T's you mentioned from Richard, Florida, and they come together to inspire each other mutually. They discuss stuff. They all want to work on finding new solutions to new requirements, which is by definition what innovation is. So I believe that conferences like this are a great example for that. And the key question is how to make that more permanent, as in real cities and urban systems that are there.
Okay, let's go all the way to the other side. Then, how do you see it?
The fundamental element of an innovative city is its ability to generate and to create a shared economy. The idea of what is the dominant sort of ethos that's going on is not only simply what you can create in the virtual world as linkage to a physical place, and how that becomes a highly dense node of interaction, not simply for transactions, but for creating a more productive city that links the local to the global.
Wow. I told these people to be very short, so they took my word. I'm so happy.
Lots more to say about
yeah,
this.
Yeah,
Two footnotes.
It's just an opening question. Shahar, how do you see innovative cities?
I believe the basis for any cities, very basic infrastructure for any city is food, transport, and connectivity, the telecom. GetTaxi happened to make the transport really available on demand. And by doing so, we created for the first time, people get a true alternative.
Which cities are you around with, that you have in mind when you're talking to us?
Right now we're in 24 cities. We cover London, Moscow, St. Petersburg, all Israel, and now New York. So, but we see the same dynamics once we provide this alternative for people to use public transportation such as taxis instead of their own private car. That become a true change. Because people using their own cars for freedom, that's the only transport that actually gives you the freedom, but it's not the most efficient one. And you talk about the shared economy, it's exactly the point. You own today the piece of metal, versus GetTaxi provide the opportunity actually to share the public transport such as taxi without using the parking. The reason taxis are the public transport is because they don't hold with you the 6-8 meter of the parking space. And we make it so available and easy that people start to use it, and the biggest compliment we get is then people start to say, I sold my car, or I don't buy the second car in the family, instead I can use the infrastructure that GetTaxi provides. And that's a big change, because it's such a basic thing for any city is the transport, how you make the public transportation efficient and move people around effectively.
Frans, you come from a different angle. You are in charge of Bricks Museum and Van Gogh Museum, and you probably see it. He sees it from the transportation angle, you see it from the culture angle. How do you see innovative cities?
Well, if you look at Amsterdam, I think the power, we just saw openings of new museum in Amsterdam for the past 3 years, every half year, a new or a restored museum. 3-4 years ago, everybody was complaining that everything was closed, and everybody was very mad at everybody. But then suddenly you saw the result of the 1 billion investment which the government and the city of Amsterdam had did the past 10 years in culture, and then suddenly every half year a new museum opened, and the combination was of course the opening of the new Rijksmuseum. And
wait, I want to stop you for a minute. What you mean that if you don't have a massive amount of money that comes from the government or something like that?
No, well, of course, it has to do with money. But I think, and that's actually more the sort of thing. Answer was I was thinking about your question. It's the courage to choose. I think that's innovation. When you have a city and you have the courage and the power to choose what you want to be, and also then immediately conclude what you don't want to be. So we're not going that way, we're not going that way, we're going that way. And choosing is very difficult, because if you don't choose, you also choose for not choosing something. So, and it's always very difficult, because you have politics, you have people in the government who want you to be this and this and this city. So choosing is very important. And I think
you're saying before everything, an innovative city, somebody up there needs to choose for the city?
I think when you talk about, of course, I'm a city marketer, so when I talk about marketing, it's about making choices. Okay. So and then you have to unify everybody in the city and saying, guys, listen, we are not going to be a sports city. That's very disappointing for you and you and you, because you're a very good sports guy. We're not going to do that, because we're going to be, in this case, a cultural city, because Amsterdam has so many cultural richness that we also decided to really, really invest in that.
Okay, let's take it to a different perspective. Bjorn, you had a very massive research in how many cities?
We look specifically at startups.
Sorry.
I said we look specifically at technology startups, which is one place where innovation happens. And there's many other places. It can be in like media and
Speak up, I can't hear you. Or put it like really eat it.
all right. So with my company, we're looking specifically at technology companies and innovation within that space. And there's innovation that happens in a lot of different areas. Of course, it happens in media and in a lot of different industries. Now, specifically within the technology space, we looked at cities all around the world, at about 100,000 companies around the world. Now, we published the Startup Ecosystem Report, which ranked Tel Aviv second, which looked specifically at 20 cities around the world, and looked mostly at the actual performance, as in what's the output based on the innovation that we see. How many companies are there being created? How are those companies performing? How are those companies influencing the talent, available talent, and so on? So there is, and that's one very specific lens in terms of looking at innovation. Now, in the end of the day, innovation for me means there's people coming together, collaborating, and creating something new, something that hasn't been there before. And a city can create this innovation by facilitating this interaction to happen by
facilitating the interaction between them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me properly, or
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
This is why I'm repeating. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm a little bit sick, so maybe that's fine. Yeah. Anyways, so that's innovation. Innovative cities are places where people can come together and create new things, build new things.
Okay, so we've heard. I mean, I'm trying to understand for myself because every morning when I wake up and I go to my work, this is my work, to think how to make my city, Tel Aviv, innovative. So, until now, culture, transportation, innovation, these are the words that we're talking to collaborate. But I think, Scott, through your meetups around the world, you actually touch everything. So maybe you can tell us, through your perspective, how do you think cities are innovative?
Can I get my picture up here, because it would be really good for the ego to see my face that huge, and
Now it's there.
and can I get this for my home too, and have a camera person just follow me? I'll feel really important. So you want short? I'll give you short.
Make it a little bit longer.
Okay. I think a great city, an innovative city, well, basically, what's the point of a city if people don't meet up? If the people aren't connected to one another? If people are just hermetically sealed in cars and homes and just go from their home to work to their small bubble of friends and of close friends and family, and not talk to strangers or talk to people that they might collaborate with or work with or expand what's going on in a city, then that's not a great city. So basically, a city can build public space, but if the public doesn't, if they don't collide, if they don't collaborate, if they don't connect, if people don't talk to each other, then I think you're going to have more of a dead city. And history, throughout history, the great cities and the great moments have been, I won't bore you by walking through it, but I mean, it's cities where people are colliding.
Give me one example that you've got in mind when you're talking about this. An example.
There was a great moment called Tel Aviv in 2013. Historically speaking, There was so this afternoon. Wait, is it this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon? You've got along Rothschild. I don't even know where that is or what that is. But you've got like a dozen to 2 dozen tech meetups that are all these meetup groups. So for those that aren't aware, I'm run a company called Meetup. Are any of you a member of a Meetup? A few of you. Okay, good. So it's basically just an easy way for people to self-organize local community anywhere about anything, helping people use the internet to get off the internet. And so, for example, in the vast majority of meetups are not tech meetups, are not tech industry meetups. But in Tel Aviv, there are about 100 different tech meetup groups about every different facet of the tech industry. And so today, because that community is organized into these different communities, they're now able to this afternoon, flip a switch and all meet up, along, in one area and have a. So what's the point? What's the value of that? The idea is that when a burgeoning industry actually is connected, when people can collaborate, when they can connect, when they can help each other out, when they can sell with each other and buy from each other and invest in each other and hire each other, it just creates this vibrant. It's a vibrant ecosystem that makes it work.
In other words, markets of the past. We need markets. We need to meet each other. Lukas, when we talked before about each one, what makes his own city innovative, and you said that for Munich it's an interesting question. By the way, think some of the people here live in 2-3 cities, so think which city you want to talk about. But Lukas, you're positioned in Munich, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What makes your city innovative?
Well, I believe that Munich these days is a bit of a hidden champion in many ways. It is not on your list, Björn Lasse, I'm sure about that. But at the same time, perhaps we need a Frans to do some more city marketing, because
choosing,
even though the choices made in Munich are great, it's rather that the city marketing is a bit self-complacent on the one side, and on the other side, there's a lot of attention going towards Berlin, obviously, in Germany. But Munich is the economic center of Germany. It has hidden champions as the leader in augmented reality, or leaders in mobile payment as companies. It has a very creative scene. It has all subcultures. But
do you feel it's innovative? People that come from outside feel that Munich is innovative?
Well, it depends on your definition of innovation. I can give you 3 examples going back in history, perhaps. So one example is top-down, that in 1913, or even earlier, at the beginning of the 20th century, there was a rule applied that each new building in the neighborhood of Schwabing needed an art studio on the top floor. In result, many artists to become real famous moved to Munich, and modern art exploded in Paris and in Munich.
Your PhD is on this, right?
No.
Oh, no, sorry. Okay.
No, it's a different story. And on the other side, there's a lot of bottom-up stuff going on as well. For example, Munich, and believe it or not, is actually the capital of continental surfing. So we're talking about river surfing. It was a DIY movement, and they just used the river, put some wooden planks in it, created artificial waves, and now people are surfing there. At the beginning, it was just tolerated by the government, and now it is finally legal. So there are examples. These are examples that are a bit low-tech, but on the other side, there's a lot of high-tech going on as well. But that is perhaps more institutionalized in Munich, with large companies such as Siemens, BMW, Audi, just outside of the city, but also a lot of hidden champions, as I mentioned earlier, augmented reality, stuff like that.
Okay.
Let's just take these 2 examples, because they're not about transactions alone. Markets are not only about transactions, but how you build shared values around transactions and through continued engagement. It's not just a point of sale, but it's more how you can create a continued sharing and repeat process within the market where you have repeat sales, repeat engagements. River surfing is a great example where are trying to engage arts as a way in terms of recapturing neighborhoods, or to rebuild those neighborhoods and to bring life into them in a creative way. So it's not just transactions. I think we've got too much of an emphasis not on engagement and commitment that's required in something like Meetup that takes people out of the cloud and into physical space and creates an ongoing engagement between the two.